I once again welcome from the core of my heart to the Bros English classes. खुशामदीद है आप सब दोस्तों का और मैं तहे दिल से आप सबका इस्तकबाल करता हूं अपने इंग्लिश लर्निंग क्लासेस में। चलिए आज का लेसन हम स्टार्ट करते हैं और हमारा ये लेसन आज का टॉपिक जो है बेसिक्स ऑफ द इंग्लिश ग्रामर के साथ ताल्लुक है। आज के हम इस टॉपिक में फ्रेजेस को डिस्कस करेंगे, क्लासेस को डिस्कस करेंगे और इडियम्स को डिस्कस करेंगे। सो आई वंस अगेन वेलकम टू ऑल ऑफ यू एंड बिफोर प्रोसीडिंग towards the today's topic, let me give you the introduction about the terms which we are going to discuss today. We are going to discuss today some basic terms of English grammar, which includes phrases, number second, clause, number third, idiom. Let us start with the basic term, that is phrase. What do you mean by the phrase? A phrase can be defined in two terms. A phrase is a group of words which is a part of sentence and which gives meaning, but not the complete meaning. Besides that, a phrase does not contain subject and verb. It is the phrase which gives the complete information about the nouns, verbs, or adjectives. It is the phrase, which gives complete information about noun, verb, or adjective. चलिए हम बात करते हैं phrase की. As we are going to define the phrase, a phrase is a group of words. यानी phrase जो है चंद words का मुरक्कब है जो sentence का एक हिस्सा है, जुमले का हिस्सा है, जो हमें माने देता है मगर पूरा माने नहीं देता। और फ्रेज की दूसरी अलामत यह है कि इसका जो है सब्जेक्ट और वर्ब नहीं होता, यानी दोनों मौजूद नहीं होते हैं। इसके अलावा फ्रेज जो है वो हमें कंप्लीट इंफॉर्मेशन नाउन, वर्ब और एडजेक्टिव के बारे में देता है। और यहां पर नाउन यानी इसम और वर्ब यानी फेल और एडजेक्टिव यानी इसम सिफत। So let us again discuss the definition of the phrase. A phrase is a group of words which is a part of the sentence and which gives the meaning but not the complete meaning. जो माने तो देता है मगर वो पूरा मुकम्मल माने नहीं देता है। तो इसका मतलब ये है वो अपने आप में मुकम्मल माने नहीं रखता है, वो एज ए इंडिपेंडेंट सेंटेंस जो है एग्जिस्ट और बिहेव नहीं कर सकता, यानी वो सेंटेंस का एक हिस्सा होता है। और whenever you are discussing, let us quote some examples of the phrases. He is a tall man. And the second example is that he had been eating. If you see, I will underline the phrase a tall man. Tall man. This is the phrase because it gives the information about what you call the noun. And if you see this a tall man, it has the meaning but not the complete meaning. It is not existing in itself as an independent part which can exist as a sentence. Then you have he had been eating. Had been eating is the next example of a phrase which is the part of the sentence he had been eating. And then the next example can be this cake is made of chocolate. And if you align this, what you call under this sentence, made up of chocolate, is a phrase. These were some main examples of the phrases. Besides that, we can quote another example, what is called Rashid is running in the park. And if you see the running in the park, this is the phrase. So we have quoted some examples of the phrases. Thus we can say that if you see all these examples, you will find the underlying portion written on, marked on the blackboard, whiteboard, or in the slide represents the phrases. But if you see, there are the various different types of phrases which we have in our English language. There are, we can say, the first noun phrase, then you have verb phrase, then you have adjectival phrase, then you have adverbial phrase, then you have proportional phrase, and you also include in that an infinitive phrase. These were some different types of the phrases. Well, we will discuss them, the types of the phrases, in the separate lecture coming in my coming lectures. But today's my topic as was discussing the phrase. That is why we do not have explained the different types of phrases. I have stated them only. I have mentioned them only. Now we will move towards the another definition of the English grammar, and that is clause. And the definitely we will remember, we will try to explain the clause. But before we move towards the definition of the clause, let me remind you the definition of the subject which I have discussed with you in the last of the previous lecture. You have to remember the definition of the subject and predicate in order to understand the definition of the clause. चलिए, जो हम क्लास की डेफिनेशन अभी सीखते हैं, लेकिन आपको उससे पहले मेरा जो पिछला लेक्चर था उसमें जो हमने सबसे पहले सब्जेक्ट और प्रेडिकेट को सीखा था, उसको याद करने की जरूरत है। तो यहां पे मैं आपको सब्जेक्ट की डेफिनेशन याद दिलाऊंगा ताकि आपके माइंड में रिफ्रेश हो जाए। मैंने कहा था कि सब्जेक्ट इज अ पर्सन और अ थिंग who is discussed or mentioned in the sentence, ठीक। and then मैंने कहा था, I told you the definition of the predicate. Predicate is that part of the sentence what is quoted about the subject, यानी वो जो कुछ भी हम सब्जेक्ट के बारे में बोलते हैं वो हिस्सा प्रेडिकेट, और जिसके बारे में हम बोलते हैं वो हिस्सा सब्जेक्ट, ठीक है। चलिए अब आते हैं डेफिनेशन ऑफ क्लास की तरफ। ए क्लास इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द सेंटेंस। ए क्लास इज अ पार्ट ऑफ द sentence which has its own subject and predicate. A clause is a part of the sentence. Well, if you see, you must remember that clause is not a complete sentence, but it is a part of the sentence. It's a part of the sentence which has its own two things, subject and predicate. Subject and predicate. That is why I told you that we cannot understand the meaning and the definition of the clause until we will not remember the definition of subject and predicate. और इसीलिए मैंने कहा जो क्लास है वो सेंटेंस का एक हिस्सा है जिसका अपना सब्जेक्ट और अपना प्रेडिकेट होता है, वो ही क्लास है। चलिए हम एक एग्जाम्पल देते हैं। क्या देते हैं? एग्जाम्पल देते हैं और उसमें से क्लास को निकालते हैं। I went there because I was invited. If you see, I want to teach you one thing here about the behavior of the first person pronoun. यानी मैं आपको यहां पर क्लास से आगे जाने के लिए मैं यहां इस आई की तरफ आपकी तवज्जो दिलाना चाहता हूं। जब भी किसी जगह फर्स्ट पर्सन प्रोनाउन हो यानी आई का इस्तेमाल हो, चाहे बिगिन में हो चाहे बीच में सेंटेंस में हो, you should always write it in the capital. यानी आप इसको बीच में भी फर्स्ट पर्सन आई का इस्तेमाल करते हैं, उसको कैपिटल लिखा जाता है। चलिए हम वापस आते हैं अपनी एग्जाम्पल की तरफ। देखिए अगर आप देखेंगे इसको, आई वेंट देयर, आई के बारे में बात हो रही है तो ये सब्जेक्ट है, और जो कुछ भी हम आई के बारे में बोलते हैं went there, and went there is predicate। और फिर से because अगर आप इसको देखेंगे, this is the conjunction, और अभी मैंने parts of speech पढ़ाया नहीं, और if you see this I went there because is the conjunction or which is the important part of the speech, but I have not taught you till then, so leave it because there. And if you see I again, this is what you call the subject, and was invited, this is predicate. And look my students, if you see, select this part, this is what you call the clause 1, and rest is the sentence. Okay my dear child, then you have, if you look this particular portion, I was invited, this is clause number 2. So if you see, I went there. I is subject, went there is predicate. This is the class. And then, if you see this portion, this is the part of the sentence. I was invited. This was the first example of the class. Let's quote the another example. That is, they worked hard, so they passed with good marks. Number first, they is the subject, worked hard is the predicate. So this is the clause number one. Then move towards the other portion of the sentence. They is the another subject and its predicate is passed with the good marks. So this is the clause number second. So they worked hard, so they passed it with good marks. Stands for the sentence which comprises of the two clauses. The further example we want to add here is they were present but they came late. They is the subject, were present is the predicate. So they were present stands for the clause number first, and but and is the conjunction. But is the conjunction. They is the subject, came late is the predicate. So they came late is the second clause. Similarly, let's quote in another example. He worked hard, but he failed. He worked hard is the clause number first because he stands for the subject. Worked hard is it is predicate. So he worked hard is the clause number first. But he failed. But stands for the conjunction. He stands for the subject and failed stands for the predicate. So in this way, this is the what you call the predicate. So he failed is the clause number two. And that was all discussing the examples of the clauses. Hope you have better understood it. Let's move to the last section of our lecture. That is the definition of the idiom. Idiom are the very important part of any language, and you must not be wondered that idioms are present in only the English language, but they are present in all other languages. If you translate the idiom into the Urdu language, we call it मुहावरात. और बहुत सारे मुहावरे होते हैं उर्दू में, और जैसा कि आपको पता ही होगा, लेकिन यहाँ पर चूंकि इंग्लिश लर्निंग की क्लास है तो हम यहाँ पर टेक्निकल डेफिनेशन देंगे idiom की. So as idiom is concerned, idiom is a phrase or expression which has figurative meaning. So the point to be noted in this is a figurative meaning. What does the figurative meaning means? Means the meaning which is different from the meaning of the individual words. यानी individual words से उनका माना जो है काफी मुख्तलिफ होता है, इसीलिए तो वो मुहावरात कहलाते हैं. That is why, because of the different meaning from the individual words and because of this figurative meaning, the group of words is known as an idiom. And if you see the examples of the idiom, it is raining with the cats and the dogs. Cats and the dogs is definitely a different meaning from the individual means. It means heavily raining. Breaks a leg means good luck. Bites a bullet means to do something unpleasant. And once in a blue moon means rarely happens. And if I quote another examples in case of the in case of the idioms, you have the expression like that, every cock fights better upon his own dunghill. And let me repeat, every cock fights better upon his own dunghill. यानी उर्दू में इसके लिए है अपनी गली में भी कुत्ता शेर होता है. Hope you have enjoyed today's lecture, and that's all for today. Have a good day. May God bless you all. Thanks. Cut it.